Hey guys! I just wanted to show you what I've been working on. I finally just up and decided to get into Godot. It's been a while since I've done game dev, and I figured, you know what they say, you either do it or you don't. Time's gonna fly anyway. We're all eventually gonna die and reincarnate. So I want to make a hybrid RPG action slash with variable inputs like in DMC. But obviously, I've got to learn the basics. But Godot, like, coding in Godot is great, and I found a way to help visualize my states. Um, One thing I'm so glad I learned about when working with Game Maker Language 2.0 was finite state machines. And I was, so one thing I wanted to do, instead of just, following tutorials line by line, kind of like with music, I just started taking things into my own hands, and I was preemptively trying to figure out actions before learning about it. One thing my mentors always told me on Discord was just do your code and don't try not to copy too much. So I was jumping ahead to try to predict how we're going to solve frame blipping and all that. I got some stuff, kind of like with music, where I basically just said fuck it and learned how to count the circle of fifths. I pretty much coded my own double jump before reviewing Chris's double jump code. I think it was slightly different, but basically the same thing. I even actually used my own formula to decrement the y, the positive y value added to a double jump. Because usually in games you don't jump as high as your initial jump. So look at that, get that, then the double jump. Physics is wonky just because I wanted to help visualize and because I'm not used to syncing animations, but actually, let's go ahead and change the global gravity in here, which, again, in Godot, it's so easy to do all this. It's amazing. You can just filter for that gravity property right there, make sure to go to 2D. I'm going to have a bit more of a less floaty game, so let's go with that. And let's actually see how the code works. And I'll explain what these little flags mean. Oh god, that's sexy. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, yeah, because I want jumping to be a bit more, with skill progression, you're going to have to enhance it. But yeah, so, to me, I like to know, this is sort of my little debugger thing going on right here. I like to know, what state I'm in. And I use that, and I actually managed to use breakpoints and stepping through and into without even looking up how to do it in Godot, to figure out exactly which lines of my code and my calls were out of order. Because initially, when the avatar was jumping, they kept running through, I think they were running through the jump animation end, even though I had gone down to animation, sprite frames, and turned the looping off. Because the cool thing about this is, just so long as I assume you do your assets right, tile sets, tile maps, and frames for sprites are so easy to set up. Sometimes you may just have to unclick center and just, like for jumping, you have to make sure this capsule, because basically in here you have sprite frames. Let's actually go to 2D player. Yeah. If I can still you on Godot, please, just do Godot. It's amazing. I'm moving myself out of the way. I have too many fucking windows over here. My desktop one needs to be pushed up. So there we go. Yeah, so let's scale that. So that's my player right there. And this is just an asset. Godot does have open source assets, and while don't be like me back in the day, we all want to make our own, sheets and stuff, but it's better to learn what we can do in Godot, and then I'll move on to doing cool stuff. So basically, if you look down here, you can see the little assets and such. Like, here's the idle. When you start a game, if a player starts idling, make sure to toggle idle on. This is what loops. So if I were to play right now, and you can easily just adjust the frames per second. I haven't learned how to set, how, or if you set, project global state FPS, but from what I've seen, you can easily, iterate through, well, you can easily just change, FPS if you need to. And if you need to review animations, you can just set them on the loop. Just make sure to turn them off if they're not meant to loop in the game, like that right there. Yeah. But yeah, I can show you more, but I'm not really here to teach. One thing I will say, if you guys know how to move collision capsules, so like say you see how this collision shape, um, it's static across all the, you know, it's static through the player's animated sprite 2D. I'm sure I'll learn that when I keep doing this tutorial, but if you guys can give me a heads up on how I can just create a unique animation. So like, so obviously if you're running, this needs to be skewed, rotated maybe like 35 to 50 degrees clockwise, because you know we don't want to have Dark Souls hitboxes where you just walk 100 feet from a boss when you get crit. So yeah, you know, I'm gonna get back to it. I'm not really teaching yet, but if you guys want to see more Godot, go ahead. But yeah, soon I'll be creating my own little furry characters for a world. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, and again, you don't have to pay for Godot. Just say fuck Unity and do this. Bye, guys.